In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.
Okay, welcome to the What's That Music About podcast. I'm your host, DJ Rambo Rich, and today's guest is a DJ by the name of By Dusk. Before we speak to her, I'm just going to get her to introduce herself and just tell about what sort of a style of DJ she is. So, with no further ado, this is By Dusk. Nice to meet you, first of all. So yeah, just introduce yourself and tell the audience what you're about, and we'll take it.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me to this podcast. It's I have to say it's the first podcast I'm doing, so I was a bit nervous.
No, like I said, no need to be nervous. It's just like a chat with a friend, basically. That's how I view it. You see.
So about me, my artist name is By Dusk, and this is coming from the fact that I'm a consultant by day and DJ by dusk, and it kind of came organically because I'm usually quite busy with my work during the day, and then once the day is over, I start being an artist and I start DJing or dancing or whatever creative form of art it takes. That's why it's By Dusk. In terms of DJing, I have been DJ for a year now, so I have been publicly DJing since last February, actually exactly a year now. I have been learning for maybe 2 years, but it took me a year to properly feel comfortable and confident to go out in public and do it for people. And the way it kind of started, I was quite nervous to go out there. So it was my birthday last year when I organized a birthday party with about 25 or maybe 30 people. And that was my very first gig, where I just kind of forced my friends to come and listen to me play for 4 hours. And since then, it kind of it felt more natural and I felt more comfortable doing that when other people were around as well. So this month actually marks my 1 year of DJing in public, which is quite exciting.
Well, congrats on that. Definitely. I mean, hopefully many more years to come. Hey, like I always feel like it can only get better. Like you can always grow and develop as a DJ. It's like I always feel like it's a bit of a, like, obviously it's a journey, but like it's a, I feel like DJing, you get to experience things and do things that you wouldn't necessarily always be doing, and obviously you get to find new music and you meet new people, and it's just that I like it how it makes you connect with a lot of people that you otherwise generally wouldn't meet. So definitely
100%, yeah. So it's so much more than going out and playing. It's so much more than just music. It's as you said, connecting to people, meeting interesting like-minded people, acquiring new skills which you never thought you would. For example, when I was just starting, I thought, it's just you go on the stage, play some music, and you're done. But no, actually, if you are doing it seriously, suddenly you have to be a promoter or like online influencer or whatever, some of these things which I've never thought of that I will be doing. So definitely makes you go out of your comfort zone, learn new skills, which is not necessarily just about the music, just more confidence in general. Because you perform, you have to connect with people, you have to talk to people to get to places. So very interesting journey so far.
Oh, cool. So what I think we're going to do now is going to move to the first round, which is mixtapes and memories. Mixtapes and memories, and in mixtapes and memories, we talk about past memories with music and how these key moments shaped your musical tastes and influences. So to start that off, what was sort of your first memories of music?
Yeah, so to start with, I don't think my first memories of music shaped my taste as it is now. Maybe some parts of it, but basically I'm from Lithuania, so it's a post-Soviet country, and I'm from a Russian-speaking family, so I grew up listening to like the 90s radio of Russian rock and pop, which like I don't really listen to at the moment.
Yeah.
But what I think did influence my musical taste, what it is now, is probably some of the CDs that I had. Some random CDs which were some music groups such as Aventura, Latin American kind of bachata CDs, when the bachata was just starting to be popular, and I had no idea what that music was, what the language was. It was so far from what my parents or what my surroundings will be listening to. But I just remember I loved it. I was listening to it. I was like, I have no idea what it is, but it's just so nice and melodical and rhythmical. And I think from there, obviously along the way there were some other musics or some styles that I would naturally and organically listen to as a child growing in Eastern Europe, which I didn't necessarily like or didn't like. It was just the background. But what I kind of picked for myself, which is still with me to these days, is the Latin American style. And maybe I'll get to it because also there was a period of my life when I was focusing on dancing, so salsa, bachata, in my university years, which at the moment I'm not doing as much because obviously DJing is taking most of the time that
I can imagine, yeah.
But I still try to incorporate that, and I think maybe these random CDs that I somehow found somewhere in my place, which my parents bought for me, I think this is something that probably did influence me a little bit. Oh, this is how it started, really, the passion.
I totally agree with you there. Like, I think like, I always hear people say, "Oh, well, they may have done something like, I don't know, like they may have learned some skill and tried to do that career, and maybe it didn't work out or something, or they gave up on it. But those skills are always transferable. You just haven't worked out how they're transferable. Like you say how those have picked up on, they may have helped you with your DJ. It's the same with me, for example. I used to do acting and musical theatre. Well, I can 100% tell you that has influenced my DJing because I'm always thinking about story like an actor would, you see. I'd always come from it like from an actor's point of view a little bit, I would say. So I totally get what you're saying there.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's quite similar to you then as well, because these little influences you don't necessarily think they might be directly related, but it somehow just merges together and organically influences what you like, what you listen to, what you might play, or how you think.
Definitely. So what was your first DJ performance? You said it was your it was a birthday, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
us about what sort of made you start wanting to DJ. Like, so how did that come about then? Obviously, I wouldn't imagine you just wake up on the day of your birthday and decide, I'm going to start DJing. That must have clearly happened before you wanted to DJ, and then you just saw that as an opportunity to have an audience and to practice the skill. So tell us a bit about that journey.
Yeah, it's a lifelong journey, to be honest. I've always been into music, whether it was Latin American music or at some point. To be honest, I listen to so much different music. It's not one genre. It really depends on my mood. It can be lo-fi beats, it can be house music, it can be hard techno, it can be Thai rock or Iranian pop. Like, it can be anything, really. How did it all start? So in my head, I always was kind of a DJ because like there would be some house parties and I would put some playlists depending on what kind of people will be there, or I would always try to influence what kind of music people want to listen to, or if we're in the car, like, okay, can I be responsible for the playlist. So it's always been the case since I remember myself. It's always been the case. Even when I was maybe like a kid, I literally forced my parents to let me record the CDs for the journeys when we were driving somewhere. But how it's practically happened, actually, it's interestingly related to my day job. So one of my colleagues, quite senior colleagues, at one of the client workshops mentioned that, oh, by the way, I'm also a DJ in my free time. And it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that really interested me. So I came to her after the workshop. I was like, wow, can you tell me more? Because there is an abundance of material, online material, where you can start, and obviously you can do it yourself from YouTube. You can buy online courses, but I was so overwhelmed with just the amount of information out there. So I wanted to start always, but I just didn't know where to start.
Right.
But when I asked that question, she said, "Oh, actually, I've done an academy, which is London LSA, London Sound Academy, which she recommended. This is what I have done. Really, I applied there. Well, you don't actually have to apply. You just get your classes with the tutors that you select. Course for a year. So there are different levels. Beginners, obviously, I started with beginner level from scratch because I've never done DJing before. Then I liked it, so I did intermediate. Then I bought my DDJ 400, the mini deck.
Another
I
one,
still have it, yeah. And then I did advanced course, and then I was like, okay, screw it, I'm gonna do the elite course, which is like the highest one. So I've basically done all the courses, and this is where my birthday party came from, because that was exactly the time when I was finishing my advanced to elite course, and I was like, okay, I have the skills now. I just need to go out there and actually push myself to play for people. So it was a perfect timing to kind of go out there, play, and then since last February, I have been going to multiple open decks in London. There are so many of them, so many good ones, and this is where I met most of my DJ friends, and the community is such huge and nice community where basically most of my best friends now are from the DJ community, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And to see how everyone, we started about at the same level, and now it's very interesting to see how everyone branches into different directions and does something differently. And most of my friends now as well, they have their own little communities or events or some sort of collectives, which I'm gonna talk about a bit later if we get to it. But yeah, it's just been such an interesting journey in a time frame of a year, really. 2 years, if I include my learning.
I can totally get where you're coming from. I go to it's a DJ social group, so it's all like we all turn up and we all just turn up once a month, and we all just play some music each for fun. Which I think is something you need to always remember as a DJ, to actually have fun, because sometimes you can take it so seriously, and
Absolutely, yeah.
And you forget, actually, hang on, I enjoy doing this.
Absolutely.
So we all so it's organised by a guy called Jason, and we all turn up every month, and in different cities in the north. It's either Preston, Manchester.
Cool.
Yeah, like it was just the one on Sunday, and it was so good. I felt like all these people had come together, and now we've all met up this time, and like everyone's starting to have their own event. It's really nice, like you say. All these groups are starting to you see like friendships being made, and like people are helping each other out.
Yeah, you support each other, and it's a safe environment. In most of the places I've been, it's always like that. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner. I'm guessing in the places where you go as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You will see beginners, you will see advanced.
Jason and Emma that run it, they have like Pioneer DJ they know someone in Pioneer DJ, so they send equipment to borrow. Now we're lucky enough to get the 3,000 CDJs. I feel like you've got the same sort of situation as I've got. Like you've got a good community of people around you, which is really key, I would say, to anyone that wants to start DJing. It's just finding those people that you sort of click with.
Absolutely.
You're going to give as much as they give to you. Do you know what I mean? And it's a partnership. It's a team. Do you know what I mean? It's nice that you've got that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember as well, now I have a community, so to any events I go, I will know someone, or at least a couple of people I've seen before. They're either my friends or someone who maybe I saw playing. So there is a connection. But I remember when I was just starting around February, March last year, and I didn't really know anyone yet. And that was much harder because you obviously go to these places. You can't always rely on your friends who are not DJs to come and support you, because everyone is busy, obviously, and you can't force everyone to come every time. So I just remember my first couple of events when maybe not many people, or maybe no one actually from my friends could make it, and I was just there by myself. I didn't know anyone, and it wasn't the same as now, because now there will be someone for sure.
Definitely, and I think that is a big thing for new people starting to realise that your non-DJ friends, and they'll be supportive and they do care about you, but they're not going to get it at the start.
No.
They probably won't understand it.
Yeah.
They probably won't get it, and they'll probably support you from a point, but they're not, like you say, turning up and stuff. You just can't expect it. It's just not going to happen.
Everyone has life.
Exactly. I mean, gay friends will turn up because they get it. Do you know what I mean? They understand it. But like I say, it's funny, that, isn't it? I think that's something you have to, when you're starting out, you have to sort of learn to understand and not to take it personally as well.
For sure.
Definitely. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the the second round, if I correct myself there, which is on repeat. So 1 second, then we'll be back with on repeat. Okay, so this is On Repeat. And in On Repeat, we discuss the present and what you're currently working on and any current challenges or projects that you're working on. So to start that off, what would you say is your sort of daily challenges or successes at the moment?
It might sound cliche, but I think it's just kind of keeping motivated, keeping that resilience, because you obviously put in so much work. You can be working on an event, and just because at this stage, no one is really, well, I'm not making that much money just yet, because I have to build my brand, I have to promote myself, I have to work on the actual offering. So I guess it's one thing is to keep motivated. You might not see the immediate results of what you're doing. You might not make money, but it's just keeping your work going and staying motivated. And the second part of it is maybe not comparing yourself to others too much, because you see someone might put an event and it's like super nice and busy event, and you might put an event which maybe not will be as successful. And by the way, I'm not giving my own example, because the couple of events that we put with my collective were really, really good. I think in general,
Yeah.
this is something that either on the collective level or individual level, you see someone doing amazing, and you just start comparing, whether you want it or not. And maybe this is quite difficult not to do so. So you have to, so in my head, you have to stay original. You have to stick to your values. You have to do what you like doing, rather than try be like others, or try to compare yourself or your collectives to someone else. So you have to be authentic, basically, and be patient. Just trust the process, do what you can do, and hope that it works out one day.
Definitely. I'm with you on that. I mean, something I always say to people when they're like struggling with this is there is enough room for everybody. Because the way I look at it is, so there's 365 evenings in a year. So there's 365 opportunities, and that's just including the evenings. What about the daytime?
Exactly.
When you put it like that, what have we got to worry about? Nothing at all. It's just like you say, not comparing yourself to other people, and
Yeah.
just keep going, and taking the no's and taking the yeses exactly the same, and then before you know it, you're going to be stood up there DJing in front of a crowd, and everyone's going to love it, and it's going to be fine.
No, exactly this year. It's
And
just being patient.
It definitely, and I think it's so hard though when you've got like no events, nothing, no events planned, or nothing's coming in, or like, and you're just practicing. You're just going to open decks, and you're like trying to make something happen, but it's not really happening. And it's like you say, it's sort of like keeping the faith, isn't it? Keeping the faith that you'll get there. But
Yeah.
like I say, I feel like you were saying before, I did acting before this. The one reason I didn't do well as an actor, I feel, is it wasn't the acting. I'm not the best actor, but it wasn't the actual acting. It was the fact that I had to wait for someone else to say, "We want you." But with DJing, you can start your own things up pretty quickly. Definitely, you just start an event, get people together, and before you know it,
Just had a thought, a light bulb moment. So this is
I
about
love
the,
light bulb moments.
like, in terms of challenges, or kind of like, I think a lot of my friends and also myself, what we do as starting DJs is overthink. For example, you DJed somewhere and maybe it didn't go as planned. Maybe you did mess up a couple of times. Most of the time, no one will notice that. But what I tend to do still, I'm like, oh my God, that was so horrible. I should never play again. And then some of my friends do like, what do you mean? Like, no one noticed anything. So I think that's another key point for DJs, not to blame yourself and not to overthink, because it's very easy to lose motivation if you kind of start analyzing every mistake you've made, as opposed to taking a view of the whole set or the whole picture. How was your performance? Yeah. So that was one thing I wanted to add.
No, I like that. Like I say, Sunday I was probably overthinking it, but once I got up there, I really enjoyed myself, and I listened to like the lyrics into the song I was playing. I think it was Some Days by what's it called? Sonny Fodera. That's it. Some Days by Sonny Fodera, and it was like, "Don't give up," and the lyrics go like, "Don't give up." and it was like really motivational. Like, so I just started like dancing
It's good.
as I was DJing and just getting into the music and just forgetting about it. And then I just had a great time. It was great. And then I managed to ask the guy that was coming on next, like what sort of music he played. Luckily, he was playing something similar, so I didn't play a song I was gonna play, and then so he had something closer to what he was playing to mix in. So obviously, again, talk about teamwork. That's teamwork, isn't it? It's not being about selfish and playing all the songs you want to play. It's teamwork, isn't it? But like you say, and then afterwards I got off and I just thought, what was I worrying about?
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it was a different decks. But like I say, if you haven't.
But that's life. Like, you will always get different decks. And again, at this stage, I'm less worried. I'm like, okay, you know what? Because I feel like when I was just starting, luckily or unluckily, I guess unluckily for me as a starting artist, but luckily for now, because I can adapt to different conditions. Because some of the first times when I DJed, some of the buttons were not working, or it was so hot that you couldn't like even focus. Like, I was sweating. Well, that including, but I mean like at the proper events, and you're like, what is this deck? Like, who even played on it? And you're like, it's not even testing your skills, like DJ skills, because
Yeah, definitely,
maybe
definitely.
some cues that you set and just like not loading, and you're like, okay, what do you have to do now? So it's just like adapting to what you have, and you have to work with what you're given. You can't, well, of course you can blame whoever set this up, but at the same time, as an artist, you have to be professional. You have to adapt to what you have.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I always have the mentality, like, no matter what happens, I'll get through it and I'll learn from it. But like, sometimes in the moment, you can be like, oh my God. Oh my God. What is actually happening here?
Yeah, and it happens so much. And in most cases, it will happen.
Definitely, you just have to take a breath. Like, when I got up there, I was like, hang on a minute, just take a breath in. Right, so, and just do your checks, don't you? A bit like you do like a flight check. Just do your checks. Go, okay, right, we're all in neutral. A bit like a car as well. Like, okay, the gear stick is in this position. I've not turned the key yet. All right, it's this. This is what I need to do. And it suddenly comes to you, doesn't it? Like I say. So, in terms of do you have any like sort of current like events planned or like coming up?
Yeah, so maybe I'll use this time to kind of talk about the DJ collective that I formed with a couple of friends, which is called Underground Tribe. And thanks, by the way, for helping us promote some of the recent events that we've had.
Definitely, I know the struggles of promoting an event, and then you think, is anyone actually going to turn up for this? And then you get to the day before, don't you? And you're like, oh gosh.
Yeah, we had 1/3 of our sales that happened on the day. So literally before the event actually started, we were like massively in debt, but then suddenly it just like went up, and we're like, good, because people, and this is what we're learning as we start doing these things, because apparently it's normal, because people are not necessarily super organized. Usually they will just leave it until the last moment to get their tickets, but it doesn't, if they haven't got their ticket yet, it doesn't mean that they're not coming. So something that you have to learn as you do this event. Yeah, in terms of Underground Tribe, well, recent, I guess. So we've been playing together for maybe half year now, since October. Is it half year? I don't even know. And we have had 2 official events as Underground Tribe. So the first one was Latin Fusion, which was a free event, and it was amazing. So many people turned up, and we got super inspired, and we just straight away organized our second event, because we thought, oh, surely it will be super easy since we had such a huge turnaround. So through another event, which just happened on Saturday last week, this was the first ticketed event, and it was in Brixton Jam, which is a really, really nice venue. Loved it. But obviously, because now we had to pay for the venue, we had to do some proper preparations, and we want to also, once, because it's ticketed, we also want to make sure that we pay the people we work with, we pay our guest DJs, we pay our photographer, everyone. Because as a starting artist, it's very difficult. Like you get put into so many places where you just kind of play for free a lot of times.
Yeah.
So what we want to do, one of our missions as Underground Tribe, is to appreciate the starting artists like ourselves, respect them, give them opportunities, and actually pay them so that they have more opportunities to also develop themselves and so on. So we really wanted to make that happen. So we went hard on the marketing, we went hard on promotion. And that was fun, but at the same time, it was our evenings in cold wind and rain, just like flyering or putting posters.
I can imagine, yeah. I mean, I've actually yesterday was doing that. I was looking around the student area in Preston, places that had flyers up, and I wrote a list of the places that had like flyers in the window, like the student take up. There's a street in Preston, and it's just takeaways and food venues that just right next to the university in Preston. And I went down that street and I looked at all the people and at places and I wrote the names down. So I remember when I get home, because I don't want to be on my phone in the street. I don't want to get my phone snatched out of my hand.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So I got home and then I sent them Instagram messages, and then some people have got back, some haven't, and then someone said yes, we'll take it. So like the next day or so, like you're saying, in the rain. Hopefully it won't be raining in the next day or so. I'm going to do the same exactly. But you were saying, sorry.
No, this is exactly very similar to what we had. It's kind of like being hopeful and staying motivated, because obviously it's our thing, so no one is paying for our evenings that we spend just like in the cold, reaching out to people, very often just getting completely ignored or like looked at, like what are you even offering me? So it's back in that time where you're like, okay, even though you're like confident, you have a job, you don't have to do it, but you're like, okay, this is like our baby, we want to make it a success, we want to make it happen. So that was our 3 weeks, because we had like maybe less than a month to organize this, and this was quite a big event to have as a first ticketed event. So we had to do so much work to reach out to so many people, to rely on so many people as well and help us. But in the end, it happened. Such a nice event, everyone was happy. And yeah, so the next one will be this Saturday, but this is not organized by us. This is somewhere where we play as guest DJs.
That's always so much more funner, I find, because the stress levels are a bit turned down on the dial a little bit. You know, you can just think about your music a bit more and not worry about all the other elements.
Yes and no. So it's cool because there is less pressure, but I guess it's maybe a little bit less creative in the sense that we have less control of how we want to put this event together or how we want this to run, but we're still very happy. So this event is like guest DJs. It's in N7 venue, and it's going to be pure Afro House. I haven't spoken about what we play actually. we play Afro House, Afro Tech, Amapiano, so a lot of like South African tunes, but the last event was because of the Brazilian carnival. So it was to do with the carnival celebration, and all of our collective members, including myself, we just love Brazilian music. So like, okay, it's not exactly what we are, but we really want to do something in relation to this. So that was on Saturday. But yeah, our third event, which I'm talking about our own event, which will probably now happen at some point in April, because we decided after this one, which was a little bit intense, we might take a little break of 1 month. So in March, we're not going to do any big events. We might throw some open decks or something like that. But the next event is probably going to be around April time, and it's going to be focused on what we are as Underground Tribe Collective, which is tribal vibes, Afro House, Afro Tech, Amapiano, South African music, and I'm quite looking forward to it, because the first two events that we did, which is Light and Fusion and Carnival, it's related to what we do, but it's not our nature. It's not us completely. Even though it's related, and I think we'll do something like that again in the future. But the third event will be about what defines us. So stay tuned. We'll probably be posting soon.
Well, that's great. That's great. Like I say, I think it's good to experiment, but at the same time, sometimes you have to just sort of work out and define what you're sort of, as a group or as a single DJ, what your sort of sound of music is. Because I think that's what sort of differentiates each DJ from them, all the other DJs. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with you there. So in terms of that, what would you say success looks like?
It's a big question.
I know. Do you know what I've realised on this podcast that I don't ask easy questions.
I'll try to answer. So I think, well, do you mean in terms of individual artist success, or maybe as a collective, or like?
Well, either or both. It's up to you. Like I say,
I think in whether you're individual artist or collective, I think success is when people recognize your sounds. So you can be playing somewhere and without looking at the timetable or who is playing, they're like, oh, it's By Dusk. Yeah, I can recognize that. Or like, oh, it's Underground Tribe. Second part of it is when people just come to your events without you having to kind of push them a little bit and advertise and be in their face, as we were, to be honest. We were spamming everyone's Instagrams every single day for the last event, and it succeeded. Like, it was still a very huge success, but really what we would like to do is, with the minimum marketing, when people just know us or recognize us, or if I'm talking about myself, where people are like, okay, so they're playing or she's playing at this event, I really want to go there because I love her music, I love their music, I love the energy that they bring, the vibe, and can relate to us, and just come to these events, whether it's a day party or whatever, wherever it is. It's relatable. People love it. There is a base of people who appreciate the music that we play, the art that we do, and just form a community that is a regular community that come to our events, that enjoy it, that make their own connections, that is respectful, that is friendly, drama free. So I think at this
I agree
stage,
with you. Sorry to interrupt, but I agree with you. Drama free. No drama is ever wanted. Definitely.
but yeah, I think it's just building that community who appreciate what we do and just come to our events, come support us, and enjoy themselves as they join us in this journey. I think this is what success is for me at the moment.
Definitely. I like that answer. So what I think we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the third round, which is discography. So in 1 second, we'll be back with discography. Okay, so this is discography, where we talk about music making process and the inspiration behind the music. So to start that off, so what are your sort of favorite artists to play as a DJ?
It's honestly such a difficult question because I'm really bad with artist names, and
Same here. I can hum the tune, but then I'm like, okay, Shazam doesn't accept that.
But obviously, like within Afro house scene, like Black Coffee is probably one of the ones that I listen to the most, and who inspired me with the music he plays.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but isn't he's doing some gig or something soon at the
I have seen it.
Yeah, is it the Navy College? What used to be the Navy College in London?
That's possible. I'm also really bad with gigs.
Yeah,
So.
and the interesting thing about Black Coffee as well is no one's ever sort of like, the big thing on the post I saw was no one's ever like headlined or like performed like a big thing there, like headlined there. So like he's the first person to do it. And I imagine as a DJ, imagine that, like the first to do something, you're like, I will be remembered for this.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like there are so much more Afro tech, Afro house artists which are completely gone from my head. Cairo is another one. He had a gig recently in London, which I overslept. Out of ones, I mean, like outside of Afro house, Afro tech scene, which I still listen to some of other music. For example, as I was saying, indie rock, Thai rock is like a group called Krangbin from Texas, and they play sort of ambient psychedelic music, which I listen to when I need to kind of relax and calm down. Obviously, other artists, Burna Boy, which is again like from completely different genre.
Yeah. So, experiment I did recently was I cancelled my Spotify membership for a
I can't
couple of months.
imagine doing that.
Yeah, for like 3 months, and I only bought physical CDs, right? And then obviously went on the respective websites to buy the digital copies of it, and that's how I, for like 3 months, I think it was around 3 months, bought my music. So for DJing, like to find new music, I wanted to do it a bit old school, like I did when I was a child in the days.
Mm-hmm.
So how the question I'm getting to here, or the point of telling you all that was, so how do you find your music, and is there any sort of like things you like to do just to sort of mix it up a bit? Because I feel like we get to the point, depending on what genre of music you have, you get to the point sort of where everyone's sort of got nearly, not all with the digital side of things, everyone's got sort of similar, but like everyone's got a couple of tracks that everybody's got. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to ever get into the, oh my god, I've got the same tracks of everybody. Do you know what I mean? I want to be
happens, yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything you do to sort of like stop that happening, or like just try and find new music?
To be honest, I never thought about it because I think the music I have is quite like varied. I don't know how. I think the way I usually find music, most of the 24/7 I have some sort of music playing, whether it's through the radio or Spotify. So I do use Spotify a lot, and I love Spotify because it gives me recommendations based on the music I listen to, whether it's very new music and maybe very new artists who not everyone necessarily knows just yet, or for example SoundCloud as well is a great one to do that.
I mean, I want to explore SoundCloud a bit more.
Yeah,
in
also
the
quite nice.
future.
And also for DJs because they obviously upload their mixes there. So you just listen to a mix and you can Shazam, like Shazam in combination with SoundCloud or Spotify, and just going to different events. And again, Shazam kind of stealing people's music, but it's not stealing, right? It's just if you get inspired by a song and like if you just really like it, it's alright to kind of like take it.
I'm totally with you. Like now, if you Shazammed the whole set of somebody
No.
and then played it in the same
No,
order,
of course not.
I would class that as not. It's not
Of course,
stealing,
yeah.
but it's not
Original. It's not. No.
It's not. It's not. You're not really being a DJ there. You're just being Spotify essentially, aren't you?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
but I'm quite fussy with my music. Yeah.
One or two, like the one odd track. Say if you've never heard that track before, then that's fine. That's not a problem, is it? You know, like I say, but you know. So you were saying that you were going to say something else, I think.
What was I saying? I'm quite fussy with music, so even for example, like someone is playing Afro House, I will still be like, okay, this is alright. But if I really like it, I'll okay, something that I will take. So because of the amount of music I listen to, I just have to be a little bit picky. Otherwise, I would just be non-stop buying the music, and I will probably get bankrupt at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been there with just one more track, and then you get that one. You're like,
no.
Do you know what would go well with this track? And then you get that track, and you're like, oh my god, now I need this track. And then before
exactly.
you know
It's a vicious circle. You have to be a little bit like in your mindset of okay, this is perfect for this playlist. This is like good. This is alright, but it's not at the level where I'm like I want to buy it.
See, I started thinking for the type of music I play, it's usually like like floor fillers, chart stuff, disco,
commercial.
Yes, that sort of stuff. But especially the sort of gigs I've had in venues. I'm thinking about the women in the audience because I think the women are more likely to get to dance first than the men. And I think, hang on a minute, if I can get the women dancing, I can get the men dancing. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like when women go out, they're more they want to go out and dance.
That's an interesting strategy. Again, never thought about it, but I guess that works.
So I think and then I start thinking, oh, hang on a minute. So what sort of artists do women like to dance to then?
Depends
so
what
then,
age women.
Exactly. So for some people, it could be Taylor. So for some people, it could be Taylor Swift, couldn't it? But then before you know it, if it's an older person, it could be some like disco song by Gloria Gaynor, for example. That's how I've started to think about, like, when I do my sets at specific venues. I'm thinking, okay, so what's going to make the women at that venue
But
I mean
it's
that.
better. I like this strategy, and I think it's something that I'm not as good at because I'm quite stubborn with what I want to play. I don't think I'm a DJ who pleases the crowd, which sometimes is okay because sometimes the music I play is quite like
I mean,
people will like it. But sometimes I'm like, okay, today I'm playing here, but I really want to play this set, so I don't really care, and I will just play what I like, and it's not always the same as what my audience would like.
I mean, I don't know how you like. I don't know. Would you're obviously you play Afro house, and I don't know how sort of requests are like how you get asked requests and that sort of. See, with me, I get requests non-stop. I mean, the last gig I had, there was a woman asking for Billy Ocean all
Okay.
evening. I had no Billy Ocean, so I couldn't play any Billy Ocean. I said to her if I had Billy Ocean, I would happily play you Billy Ocean, but I didn't have Billy Ocean, so I couldn't play it. So it's interesting, isn't it? But like I say, if I deal with it this way, if I don't have the track, I'll try and suggest something that I do have that's in that sort of sphere of music.
See, that's nice.
So I don't have that, but I have this. How about this? Like someone asking me for 90s music, so I said, "Oh, I don't have a lot of 90s music at the time. I do now have 90s music." So I was like, "Oh, but I've got Jamiroquai Space Cowboy," and she was like, "Oh my god,
That will do.
please play me that." And I was like, "Yes," and it's the good remix as well. So they are. But no, like you say, it's interesting, isn't it? So I'm trying to read what I actually wrote here. 1 second. I feel like we covered everything there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to the last round. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next round, which is Dream Big. So in 1 sec, we'll be back with the next round. Okay, so this is Dream Big. And in Dream Big, we talk about what does success in the future look like and what sort of your aspirations and sort of goals you'd want to achieve. So to start that off, so what's your biggest ambition for? What's your biggest ambition for your DJing and your music, basically?
Yeah, so I think I kind of covered it in one of the previous, or
Yeah.
maybe touched on it in one of the previous questions. But I think it's related to finding myself as an artist and find organically playing what I enjoy playing rather than pleasing the audience. It's more about finding the audience that appreciates what I do and finding the just kind of founding the community of the people who would appreciate that, finding the venue. And I think in terms of the venues, it's not even one of these, huge festivals or I mean, that will be cool, but not on a regular basis. I think what matches my vibe more is something like a high-end kind of rooftop or beach club, which is maybe a little bit posh or something quite nice and relaxed environment where there is space, where the music system, the sound system is really good, the people who come there, the people who enjoy what I do, and just kind of finding that niche and doing what I love, and at the same time self-sustaining myself with this rather than wasting, no, not wasting, okay, let's say kind of giving a lot of my energy to the things that I don't necessarily enjoy, such as marketing, such as organizing,
I know what you mean.
admin, daily things, like social media. I don't really enjoy it, but it's something that I have to do to build my brand. But the big ambition is to just focus on the music part of it, find my niche, find the place, whether it's here or maybe somewhere warmer, a venue or multiple venues where I can just enjoy doing what I do and at the same time living the life I want to be living while doing that. So I think that's my musical goal for now. It might change, but
No, I love that. I love that answer, especially I read on your notes that you sent over to be like a nice view and somewhere I think you said something like cool rooftop or something like that. I mean, yeah, definitely. As long as it's safe.
Silly things, but it's like I just like the environment. Also, By Dusk is another kind of way of saying sounds.
Definitely, I want to play Ibiza. That's on my list.
But not a standard. Like I'm not talking about just another evening, another venue. I want something a little bit more special. Maybe not just a venue, not just an event. It's more like an experience, the community, something more interesting. I don't quite know what it is yet, but usually it just comes to me organically. So maybe I'll get to it soon at some point.
No, but I think sometimes when you've got something like that, the fun of it all is the journey of finding out what is it that I'm actually trying to like make here or like develop. What am I actually trying to like? Sometimes like the best ideas are the ones that you've not like had yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you've got this sort of a concept, but you don't know what it's not fully formed yet, is it? And then you sort of like over time, you sort of like, oh, there's this element of it I've discovered, and then before you know it, there's another element, and then and then when you step back, you're looking, oh my god, it all came from this one little idea. So I think I get.
Yeah, not like forcing it, but kind of letting it organically form itself.
Definitely, it's a bit like flow state, isn't it? You know, like you're not forcing it; you're just letting it flow naturally. So it's interesting if this question follows on. So, do you have a dream festival or location to DJ at?
Well, I mean, if we're talking London, Coco is probably my favorite club. So, would be nice to DJ there at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether by myself or with Underground Tribe, probably with Underground Tribe, that will be more fun.
It's nice you said that. I really like that you've said that. Like I say, because I mean, I always feel like sometimes, like if you've got good friends like that, sharing something like that with them is like something that like you'd remember forever, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And otherwise, as I was saying, somewhere nice and warm with a nice view, whether beach or rooftop, whether it's Ibiza or somewhere else, I don't really mind. I don't mind if it's like super big or commercial or just very nice special place where people enjoy it and they're willing to stay there and kind of enjoy it and just not being forced to be there, but like just really want to be there themselves. I think that's it's just simple things. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I get a sense from you and the people you talk about that you like sort of DJ with is it's a sense of community, really. Sense of like you all have this thing like we all do of it's music that you know the music is there and like I love how like music helps people connect with each other and like you can like share good moments with people and I just love how like it's unity at the end of the day, isn't it?
Exactly.
So definitely. I think that's us come to the end of the interview. I think we've answered everything we need to answer. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming onto the interview, onto the podcast. Even I'm forgetting my words now. Thanks for coming onto the podcast. I'll make it a bit clearer there. Yeah. So thanks for coming on the podcast. Yeah, definitely update us with everything that you do with yourself on your own as a DJ and as your collective, as you say. Yeah, we'll put a post on the Instagram channel.
Absolutely.
Just to update people because I like to do that. Because part of the reason I started this podcast was because it's not about me. I'm just like the guy that sort of makes it happen. It's all about like the guests that come on and about music and people that love music. And I feel like our job as DJs is to help people find new music and new artists and help them connect with the audience, basically. So that's how why I started it. And also, I just love music at the end of the day. So there. But no, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.